driver is Gail. Someone say hi, Gail. So as we get ready to enter the safari, I want to make sure everybody knows our safety rules. First of all, there's going to be no eating on safari today. If you have a beverage, feel free to take a drink, but no eating, and just watch yourself as you drink. We don't want you to spill. Wherever you are right now is where you're going to remain. There's going to be no moving while we're on safari, no standing up, no unbuckling. Make sure you hold on to all of your personal belongings. We don't want anyone to lose anything. We don't want you to drop anything, especially because we cannot guarantee how quickly we're going to be able to get it back to you. Finally, New Jersey, what we call a no-touch day. There will be no touching of the animals on safari today. If you are caught touching or feeding the animals, you can be fined up to $5,000. So please, for your own sake, don't do it. And as we come through here, make sure you wait for all our gate guards. So we are now in the Americas section of our safari. Here we're going to see several animals native to North and South America. So we'll see what we can see first. Looks like up ahead we're going to be coming on our American bison. And this year the American bison is featured on our Save an Icon pin. So this year they're going to be with the European brown bear, so it's a very cool, good cause. If you are interested, make sure you check it out. They're $5. All of the proceeds go to conservation. So we're just about to come up to our bison. Now bison are also called buffalo. When settlers first reached North America, they thought that they resembled the buffalo of the old world, so they called them the buffalo. So you can call them a buffalo or a bison. I'm going to call them bison today because we will be seeing other buffalo later. Now these guys are very large. In fact, they are the largest land animals in North America. They are so large that they help keep the prairie the prairie. Now you may notice those guys have those big things on their head. Both the males and females have horns. Those are true horns, meaning that they grow out of their skull, and if they lose them, they will not grow them back. Now in addition, these guys also have a very thick coat of fur. In fact, their fur is so thick in the winter that snow will actually accumulate on their back instead of melting, as they are so well insulated. Now over on the other side of the truck, we're going to see more of our bison, but we can also see some of our llamas. Now llamas are a domestic species native to South America. They are actually the primary pack animal of the Andes Mountains. So here's some llamas, and then some bison. You can also see one of our llamas up on the hill. Now the llama are quite aggressive. They are often kept as guard dogs to protect livestock in the Andes Mountains. And they also, when mad, will actually be able to spit. Their spit is actually stomach bile, so they can spit up to 20 feet at a time. So really be very careful. So these birds we're seeing here are going to be our rhea. Now rhea are a member of a family of flightless birds known as ostriches. It's very easy to tell a male and female rhea apart. A male rhea will have a black ring of feathers around their neck. So crossing the road right now, we have one of our European bison, or one of our Roosevelt elk. Now the Roosevelt elk are the largest elk in North America. Interestingly, the term elk in Europe refers to what we call a moose. So if you're ever in Europe and you say you saw an elk, they would actually think that you saw a moose. Now, we're not getting quite a good look at them real quick, but we are going to be seeing some of our females. Now the way to tell a male and female apart is the males will have those large antlers on their head. A male's antlers can reach up to 4 feet long and will have 6 spikes on them. In fact, those antlers are so large that they can actually clear space in the Pacific Northwest they call home. These guys are, of course, named after President Theodore Roosevelt. He was our 26th president. Also considered the father of conservation. So we can see a lot of them coming by. During breeding season, the males will actually make a bugling noise. Again, as they get very close, just make sure you have no touching the animals. They're really quite majestic creatures. Oh, we also have an American bison that was hanging out on the other side of the divide. There these guys are. Again, the largest elk species in North America, native to the Pacific Northwest. So on a second, on your right, we're going to see more of our rhea. Now again, rhea can tell males and females apart by the ring around the male's neck. And it's actually, despite the fact that these guys are flightless, they are actually able to use those wings for a few things. During breeding season, the males will actually herd them in, and they also use those wings as a balance when they run. So over here are our fallow deer. Now fallow deer are not native to North America, but they are found here as they all were introduced as a game species. They look very similar to our white-tailed deer that calls New Jersey home. The main difference being is that these guys will keep those white spots their entire life. These guys, you can also tell males and females apart by the fact that the males have the antlers. We will be seeing several of our male fallow deer later in the tour, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But here we can see more of our rhea. Now, the rhea will lay 20 eggs at a time. Once they lay those eggs, mom is done with childcare, so she will get out of there. From there, dad is then in charge of raising the young. In fact, the dad will actually incubate the eggs for about 45 days at a time. Once dad does that, he will then also be in charge of raising the young. So, it's very important for dad to be doing that, as he is in charge of taking care of the young ones. Now, as we pass some more of our feeders, we can see here, get our last look at our rhea. The rhea are native to South America. They love to forage on seeds and grass. So we are getting ready to exit the Americas and cross over into Africa. No passport necessary. We just gotta make sure the gate gets open here in just a second. So we have now entered Africa. Here we're going to see a few animals native to the continent of Africa, as well as some that are not native to Africa. One species in particular is not actually native to Africa, but is in this section. Now, the first animal we're seeing is the largest land animal in the entire world, the African elephant. So keep an eye out for our elephants. All of our elephants here are females. In fact, these girls have been here as long as the park has. These guys are original to Great Adventure. Another way to tell an African elephant apart from an Asian elephant is that an African elephant has ears that are the shape of the continent of Africa. In fact, those ears are so large they act as ear conditioning. They help keep the large animal cool. They'll have warm blood will come to the surface. That warm blood will then be cooled. And as you can see, they are making great use of those trunks. You can see one of our girls is actually cooling herself down. She's throwing a bunch of water on her back. That trunk is actually an elongated upper lip and nose. It has about 40,000 muscles in there. And it can lift something as small as a penny and as large as a tree branch. Now the elephants are very important. We call them a keystone species. In fact, without them, the savannah would turn significantly more wooded. So it's very important that we hold on to them. There are only 415,000 elephants in the entire world, which sounds like a lot of elephants, but the thing you have to think about is their gestation period is 22 months long. So if we lose, it takes a while for them to replace themselves. So that we are losing more elephants than we are gaining each year. So their numbers are unfortunately decreasing. These girls are also hunted for those tusks, as they are made of ivory, which is very very valuable. Those tusks are actually an elongated incisor. Elongated and enlarged incisor. But next we're going to be seeing the Asian water buffalo. Now, the Asian water buffalo is not actually native to Africa, but we keep them in our Africa section because they are very heavily reliant on water. In fact, they cannot go more than 15 to 20 miles away from water in their entire life. So this is the area with the most watering holes, so they stay here. These guys are very well adapted to the water. In fact, they're so well adapted they have a special joint above their hook we call the fetlock that allows them to get around through the mud without getting stuck. So these guys are very important. They also do have true horns, much like the bison we saw earlier. And these guys are also kept as a domestic species. In fact, they are kept for their milk and for their hide. Their milk is actually very high in fat and can be used to produce ghee, which is a liquid butter. And also their hide is very thick, so we can make a very thick leather with their hides. But now as we come around, as we start to pass our water buffalo, we're going to be seeing our white rhinoceros. Now the white rhinoceros is one of 5 species of rhino. There are 4 of which are all endangered. The only one that is not endangered is the white rhino we're seeing today. Now these guys are facing issues due to those horns on their nose. Those horns are often thought to serve a medicinal purpose, although there is no scientific evidence for this. Those horns are actually made out of the same material that our fingernails and hair is made out of. So much like how we enjoy manicuring our fingernails, they enjoy manicuring their horns. They will rub them on rocks to sharpen them, sometimes producing very, very interesting shaped horns. And rhinos are actually, they have a very poor sense of eyesight. That's another issue, is it makes it very easy for them to be poached as they cannot see very well. Generally in the wild they rely heavily on their sense of smell to avoid predators. And much like a pig, they actually enjoy wallowing in mud, so they will roll around in mud to keep them safe from the sun. That will also act as a bug spray, as the bugs will not be able to bite through that mud, so it protects them from biting insects as well. So there we get a real close look of our white rhinos. Now, you may be thinking they're more of a grayish color. Why are they called the white rhino? Well, the answer is we're not quite sure. We have a few theories, one of which is that it's a mistranslation of the Dutch word wide, as they have very wide mouths. We cannot be for sure. So as we enter the wild plains, immediately we're going to be seeing our Bisa oryx. And the Bisa oryx are native to very dry environments. In fact, they can actually raise their body temperature up to 116 degrees Fahrenheit to avoid needing to sweat. So very well adapted indeed for those ecosystems. They also are able to get all of their water just from the metabolic byproducts. So they don't need to drink water, and they live in the desert, so it can be very hard for them to get water. The oryx is also thought to be the origin of the myth of the unicorn. And from the side, it appears as though they have one horn and look like kind of like a horse. That's not that when people first saw them, they thought that they were a unicorn. Over on the right side of the truck, you can see one of our white-bearded gnu. The white-bearded gnu are also known as the blue wildebeest. They choose to take part in the Great Migration, where they will join up with millions of other animals and travel so much you can see from space. We have a few animals at our feeder here. We have 2 of our ellipsis waterbuck, known for the elliptical shape on their rear, but we also have an African bongo. Now the African bongo is the largest African forest antelope in the world. Despite this, they're actually quite elusive, so it's very, very rare to see them. In fact, so much so that all research has had to be done on their captivity. Here you can see more of those ellipsis waterbuck. The ellipsis waterbuck actually will flee into water to avoid predators. And they actually, when they're excited, they secrete a viscous substance that helps waterproof them. Here we can see more of our blue wildebeest. wildebeest. I mentioned earlier that they take part in the Great Migration. This can actually be seen from space, and they are so much that it's known as a natural wonder of the world. Now, I'm sure that you can see ahead of us. We got some fun animals coming up. Just as we come to this next group of animals, I want to remind everybody, if they approach the truck, there will be no touching. And no feeding for sure, as we do not want any of you to get in trouble. So just hold on as we go over. The first animal we're seeing over here is our scimitar horned oryx. They are a species of oryx. Of course, famous for those scimitar-shaped horns on their head. Now, these guys are somewhat of a conservation success story, as in the year 2000 they went extinct in the wild. And in 2016, they were reintroduced in the wild, 25 of them. And then that year, December of 2016, the first one was born in the wild in over 30 years. Now you can see some of our zebras. Zebras, of course, are black with white stripes. And those stripes actually are unique to the individual, much like our fingerprints. Here we can see a giraffe walking by. Giraffes are the tallest animals in the world. They have those large things on their head we call ossicones. Those are actually protuberances of their skull. They are then covered in fur and hair. These guys have necks that are 7 feet long. There's a little baby giraffe. These guys actually, unfortunately, the giraffes are going through a silent extinction event. Over the last 30 years, we have lost 56% of our giraffes. That is caused by conflicts to reclaim habitat, but also poaching and habitat loss. Over at the feeder over here, you can see some of our red and collared cattle. The red and collared cattle are a breed of true cattle. They actually are they actually are bred for those large horns and are known as the Watusi cattle for the Tutsi people that usually bred them. Here's a last look at our giraffes. That giraffe's neck is 7 feet long, despite how long that neck is. They actually can keep necks in the same amount of bones in their neck as we do. So as we move around the corner here, we're coming to our glamping experience. Savannah Sunset Resort and Spa. A lot of cool stuff if you stay here. Each night includes breakfast. Also, you get access to all 3 of our parks. We also have VIP tours and giraffe feedings, as you can see. So really definitely very much worth every penny. I believe you have to book 2 nights at a time, and nights start at $850 a night. So if you're interested, make sure you check out our website, zigzags.com, to learn more. They actually are, I know it looks like you're in a tent, there is heating and cooling in there, so it is a cool experience. And then one last look at a giraffe. Then we can see some of our black buck. We'll see a lot of black buck today. Those are male black buck. We're now going to go into enter Serengeti grassland. This is going to be home to many more of our local species. But the first animal actually does not have hooves. It's the ostrich. The only way to tell a male and female ostrich apart is the males will be a dark black feathers and the females will have gray feathers. So these are 2 males. The ostrich is actually considered the fastest thing on 2 legs, as they can run at 45 miles per hour and can maintain the speeds of 35 miles per hour. So they're really quite quick for such a large bird. They're also one of the largest eyeballs in the animal kingdom. In fact, their eyes are so large that they're bigger than their brain. And if you get to know an ostrich, it becomes very apparent that those eyeballs are larger than their brain. So here are some of our male black buck. Now, the black buck, you can tell a male and female apart because the males have those large horns on their head, those twisty horns. We'll see some younger males later. As they grow older, those horns get more curly. Here you can see more of our ostriches. On the ground over here, we have our white-tailed gnu, also known as the black wildebeest. These guys are closely related to the blue wildebeest we saw earlier. Another way to tell them apart is that these guys have the horns that curve forward, whereas the ones we saw earlier have the horns that curve out. These guys actually can hybridize, so we do have to keep them in separate areas of the safari to prevent that from happening. Yeah, the black buck. The black buck are actually the fastest animal we're going to see on safari today, despite also being the smallest animal we see on safari today. Now, over on your right, we have two animals, and first with the big horns are a sable antelope. Those sable antelope horns, they get so long that they can toss their predator over their back with them. We also have some of our udad. Now, udad are also known as the Barbary sheep. Both the male and female udad have those curled horns, but the male horns will be thicker, and the males will also have longer beards. The udad are another animal that we're going to see. We see the males now, we're going to see females later, so keep an eye out for that. But now, we're getting ready to enter Kingsland. Kingsland, of course, is home to the king of the jungle, the lion. The lion gets the name of the king of the jungle. They actually are not native to the jungle. They actually live on the savannah. So, the lion is the only truly social cat species. And you can tell male and female lions apart by the mane on their male's heads, but also, males will be larger than females. Now, these guys live in groups we call prides. Generally, a pride consists of one male and several females. The females do all the hunting. They're only successful in hunts about 25% of the time. In order to make up for that, they can actually go long periods of time without eating, and then they'll be able to gorge themselves on up to 40 pounds of meat at a time. And they have actually been recorded gorging as much as 75 pounds of meat. So really quite good at that. We have 3 prides here at Six Flags. In the last 20 years, we have lost 40% of our lions for a population of 20,000. So it's very important that we hold on to all lions we have. They are facing extinction, mostly due to habitat loss and also conflict with farmers, as they will frequently hunt livestock, and so farmers will hunt them first to keep their livestock safe. So it's very important that we hold on to the lions we do have. Here we can see some of our males. The way to tell a male and female lion, or the way to tell how old a male is the males will have the larger, will have the darker mane. So as a male ages, his mane will darken. So now we're moving past some more udad. I mentioned earlier they're called the Barbary sheep. Despite this, they're actually more closely related to goats than they are to sheep. I like these guys. When they lean down, they actually, it looks like they're doing goat yoga. Maybe they're in the downward goat position. But now we're getting ready to enter Black Bear Ridge. It's going to be home to our American black bear. The American black bear can be found in 49 of the 50 states. Does anyone want to wager against this is the only state you cannot find a black bear in? No guesses? The answer is actually Hawaii. They cannot swim all the way to Hawaii. Yep, there's a bear right there. Now, black bears come in many different fur colors. They can be blonde, they can be brown, they can be cinnamon, they can be black, and they can be white. So they really, just because a bear is not black does not mean they're not a black bear. Generally the way they pull apart from grizzly bears, in areas that are cold, is they do not have that hump on their neck that we'll see the brown bears have later. And as we come around, we're going to be passing one of our nurseries on the right, so keep an eye out for the nursery. I'm not sure if the cubs are out. Looks like just one cub is out. Looks like mom's just going back to the den. We also have a nursery on the other side, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And black bears are very skilled climbers. In fact, they're such strong climbers that they can actually get up trees fairly easily. They actually have sharp claws that are curved that help them to climb up a tree. So that for whatever reason a black bear is coming after you, do not run up a tree, as they will follow you up and they will be faster up a tree than you will. These guys are what we call an opportunistic omnivore, because they generally eat a diet that consists of anything that they can get. Although their diet is mostly plants and vegetation and berries, they will eat whatever they can. So if you offer a blackberry hot dog, they will not turn you down. But now we're getting right into the lower 40s, so we're going to get another look at some of those animals from Wild Plains earlier. Hopefully we have some of our male fellow deer down here so I can point out those antlers. Looks like we do have some male fellow deer down here. We also have a lot of our common eland down here. Now the common eland are a member of the largest genus of antelope. They're the second largest member of that genus, so they're the second largest antelope. They're slightly smaller than the greater eland, who they are very closely related to. These guys are actually not very fast runners. They can reach speeds of about 25 miles per hour, which is quite slow for an antelope. It's one of the slowest of any antelope, but they are also able to jump about 8 feet. So they got other things going on. Behind the eland, you can see some of our male fallow deer. The male fallow deer will have those palmate antlers. Palmate means they resemble kind of the shape of palms. It also looks like we have a turtle basking. I always like to look for the turtles on the logs in the water. And interestingly, when the fallow deer back there shed those antlers, they actually, when they regrow them, they grow what's called velvet on it. That's actually full of blood vessels to bring nutrients to the growing antlers. So as they start to grow out of them and they fully grow in, they actually have to get rid of that velvet. And so to do so, they actually have to rub it off on trees. And so in doing that, it can create somewhat of a gruesome scene. So if you ever see a deer with bleeding antlers, do not be alarmed. That is a normal part of their life. They're not in pain, most likely. They're just trying to get rid of that velvet. But now we're on to Terra Ursus. Terra Ursus is Latin for land of bears. This is where we're going to find the other animal featured on this year's Save an Icon pin. Here we're going to see our European brown bears. They look very similar to the grizzly bears, but they're about 100 pounds smaller. But they still have that large hump on their neck full of muscles that can actually help them dig. These guys are very good diggers. I see them dig here a lot. I essentially see them dig a lot. They'll dig a little hole for themselves to lay down in. And then once they lay down in it, they have intent. So we're now passing our nursery. Looks like mom and her cub are away. Yeah, they're in the den. So brown bears are also opportunistic omnivores. They eat more of a meat-based diet, so we feed them a protein powder. As we drive by along the sidewalk, you may see them just hanging out next to their protein powder, kind of just shoveling it into their mouth. They really love that protein powder. And of course, keep an eye out on both sides of the truck. We have bears on both sides. As we come around the bend here, we're going to see one of our pools. Let's see. Looks like nobody's taking a dip right now. Nobody's taking a dip right now. Now these guys are also okay climbers. They don't climb as much as the black bears we saw earlier. Although a mama bear will chase her cubs up into a tree when she senses danger. So many bears. And interestingly, we have bears on both sides of the truck. If a bear gets tired of one side, we actually have a tunnel that goes underneath the road that allows them to get to either side of the road. Although generally, they have their areas that they enjoy. And if you look at this pool, you probably can't see it, but down at the bottom we have a lot of stuff for the bears to play with, such as like bowling balls. which a bowling ball may sound heavy, you know, like a bear wouldn't play with that, but they actually will. They'll have to grab them, and they love lifting them. Looks like we got someone sitting up here. Got the arms out. Are you sitting up, or are you sitting back on something? What's going on over here? No, you're just sitting back. You're just sitting back. Looks like they're whispering stuff in each other's ears, sharing stories. But now we're going to be entering our wildlife conservation area and bird sanctuary. So here is going to be the only undeveloped area of the safari today. Here we have 52 acres of undeveloped wetlands. Now wetlands are very important ecosystems. They actually can help remove contaminants from the water. They also will take on any excess rainwater that appears. So very important. In here you can see a few more native species. I've seen bald eagles fly over the top of the truck. I've also seen white-tailed deer just hanging out. Although generally our native animals are kind of scared of how loud the truck is. You may also notice it's a little bit chillier in this section. That's actually because the wetland habitat is actually very good at removing heat from the Andes. Aquatic vegetation will actually cool the air around us by about 3 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. So very good at chilling the air down. Also keep an eye out for the Virginia opossum. That's going to be the only marsupial native to North America. A marsupial, of course, being a mammal with a pouch. So now we're getting right into Didgeridoo Pass. Here in Didgeridoo Pass, we're going to see some of our Australian animals, including the red kangaroo, the largest marsupial in the world, and the emu. So definitely keep an eye out. It's always a toss-up what we're going to see first as we enter here. So just gotta keep an eye out. Looks like the emu are hanging out closer right now. The emu are the last rhino we're going to see today. Let's go to the middle-sized one. We saw the rhea earlier, who are the small guys, and the ostrich, who are the big guys. So the emu are the medium-sized guys. The emu are going to be on the right side of the truck in just a second. So definitely keep an eye out. The emu, interestingly, is the only animal with a calf muscle, or the only bird with a calf muscle. And they actually will take a dip when they want. Emus actually don't have very large wings. Their wings are considered vestigial. We don't really know if they serve any purpose. Their wings basically amount to a little bit of feathers and a claw. So there's our emu. If the way the emus move looks familiar to you, they actually served as the basis for the kangaroos in the Jurassic Park movies. We also have some of our kangaroos on the other side. The red kangaroo gets its name from the fact that the males will be a red color. The males are larger than the females and are known as jacks. The jills are the females and are smaller, more of a grayish brown color. And then baby kangaroos are known as joeys. When a joey is born, they're actually only about the size of a lima bean. And then as they age, they will actually, right as they're born, they will actually follow a trail of saliva into mom's pouch. And mom can actually feed 2 joeys at once. She'll have a joey that'll live outside the pouch. Here's that feeds 1 ton of milk. And more of our emu. And we can see a lot more of our red kangaroo hanging out. Looks like most of the kangaroo are going to be on the right, but we do have a few kangaroo on the left of the truck as well. Yeah, there's some right there. And these guys sit very interestingly because they have fused hip bones, so they cannot move those legs independently of one another. They have to move them together. That helps them hop around, but they can't walk like us. They need to crawl around. They sort of have to kick those legs forward and then just keep moving. They're really quite cool animals. Now as we get ready, we're going to be moving through the gate. Make sure you wave, say hi. We're now in the Tigris Asiana section of the safari. Here we're going to see our Siberian tigers. There were once 9 subspecies of tigers in the world. Over the last 100 years, we unfortunately have lost 3 of them. But it's very important that we don't lose more. The Siberian tiger is in danger, as there are only 360 Siberian tigers left in the entire world. So it's very important that we put an effort into conserving these tigers, because they're quite amazing animals, and we do not want to lose them. And we can see a nilgai hanging out in this section. We're going to see some more nilgai later, but they are famous for the pattern on their ankles. So here we're coming to our Siberian tiger. The Siberian tigers are thought to come in multiple different colors. This is actually not way down to their skin. They're not just in their fur. So if you were to shave a tiger, you would actually see those stripes. Here we can see more of our cat. Now, if you look, we have some of our female udads. They actually have some of our baby udad in amongst them. So we're moving towards the old ages section of our safari. If you look to your right, that wooden structure was actually once part of the safari. It was the warden tower. The wardens would go up there and watch the tigers, make sure they were not getting up to no good. Now we just keep it as a piece of Six Flags history. So here are more of our nilgai. Now the nilgai are the most common animal in northern India and eastern Pakistan. Their populations have increased rapidly due to the fact that the Bengal tiger populations have decreased. The Bengal tigers were their primary predators, so as the Bengal tigers have gone away, these guys have increased rapidly. Although they're considered a pet species, they're not often hunted. The word nilgai actually comes from the Sanskrit word meaning blue bull or blue cattle. There we can see a llama up on the hill. Llama wool is actually used to make sweaters in the Andes Mountains. Quite warm. They're really quite useful in the Andes Mountains. They are the primary pack animal of the Andes Mountains. Over there you can see some people riding Medusa. Behind it is El Toro. Baboon Village. Baboon Village is going to be home to our baboons. We're also going to see more of our black buck, and then we're going to see the female black buck. We also will see our yaks in this area. Oh, no we won't. The yaks are actually up back there. So as we move through here, we can see our black buck, even out for the young black buck. I mentioned earlier, these guys can reach speeds of 50 miles per hour, so they really are very good at running. They really can get around quite easily.
There's a lot of them.
You can see some of our young males in here. Those horns have not come all the way in; they've just started to come in. As we come around, we're gonna be moving past our baboon habitat. Looks like the baboons are hanging out close to the house right now. They're just waking up. Baboons actually follow the same data pattern as us. These baboons are also diurnal, meaning they're awake during the day and asleep at night. And here we can see some of these structures that baboons like to climb on. They're all made out of recycled pieces from elsewhere in the park. Here we can see our baboons. Now baboons are famous for the fact that the females have a red rear end. It's thought that the redder a baboon's rear end is, the more ready to mate she is. That's a theory, at least. We're not totally sure of that. These are the golden baboon. Now the golden baboon, or the olive baboon. They're the olive baboon. They get the name from these olive color of their fur. They're also known as the Anubis baboon. On the other side of the truck, we see more of our black buck running around. And the baboon generally live in troops. So the females and the males will join during breeding season. That large piece of metal was actually once part of the Great American Street Machine that's been recycled into an enrichment activity for the baboons. Also, all of these are actually made out of recycled pieces from elsewhere in the safari. And that is actually, that large piece with the metal on top is actually used to be flipped over. It was the top of a TV restaurant inside the park. So very interesting. Very interesting. But now, looks like we're just coming to the end of our safari. I just want to remind everybody to please remain seated until we get back to base camp. We do actually have a lot of cool stuff for you to check out at base camp, including our reptile house as well as our birds of prey. As we leave, make sure you wave hi to the gate guard.
Good shot.
Now, if you're interested this year, I mentioned the Save an Icon pin. This year features the American bison and the European brown bear. There's one over there. I also have one over here, so if you want to see what it looks like, this is what they're going to look like this year. They're $5. All the proceeds benefit conservation. Still very good cause.
Well, it's they want to keep it the same color.
So, other things we do offer, we do have our Soar Ed program where we will have school groups that will come through and a chance to explore all the fun stuff we have at the safari, as well as explore base camp. We also, of course, have our Silver Safari program that's going to go into the fall. If you have a 55 or older person in your life that you think may be interested in doing that with your group, you can buy that for them. We also have the ability to book out a truck for a private tour, so it'll just be you and your group on that truck. So really, a lot of cool stuff for you to potentially check out here at Safari. Looks like it's going to be a second for us waiting back at base camp. Just a second for us to get back in. How did everybody enjoy the safari? Yeah. So again, my name was Chris. I've been your tour guide. Our driver was Gail. Can everybody say thank you, Gail? Thank you. So what was everybody's favorite animal? Okay, what was your? You say the elephants? Those are always really cool to see. Really cool to see.